right. Hey there. Welcome to Between Books. We're Tori and Sal. This is just a place where we share our thoughts, our theories, and chat about our favourite books. We're here for a bit of banter and a bit of fun and to feed our bookish brains. There will be swearing. There will be smart talk. So if that is your vibe, then stick around.
Welcome back, guys. I am so excited to do this episode. We are doing a review on Haunting Adeline, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a dark romance, just full of smart. And it's Sal's first dark romance book that she's read. And she's just finished it. I read it in like mid 2023. So I had to do a massive refresher yesterday. I was like Googling sort of stuff to reread some of the chapters and the summaries because I have forgotten a lot of it. But I wanted to be prepared for this book because it is your first one that you've read.
I was nervous to start this
I was
book.
nervous for you because I was like, fuck, if you don't like dark romance, like this podcast is really
We're over.
Yeah, we're going to have to end this podcast because like if you don't like dark romance, then the whole thing is just going to be about fantasy, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But like the dark romance is like, it's next level.
Yeah.
So I was really nervous for you.
Yeah.
I was really nervous
for us.
I was nervous for us, for our relationship, really. Like I thought we were going to end if you couldn't get down with the morally grey characters. I'm going to give a very brief like overview of what the book is about.
Yeah.
I've just taken it from Google. We'll obviously give our own kind of, add our own thing to that. But the plot overview as listed on Google is the book revolves around Adeline, who is a writer who inherits her great-grandmother's Victorian manor and becomes stalked by a mysterious man named Zaid. As Adeline explores her new home and discovers family secrets, she realizes her great-grandmother was also stalked and their stories intertwine with a growing, complex relationship with Zaid. The novel explores themes of obsession, manipulation, and psychological torment as Adeline grapples with the fear and thrill of being watched. I think that's a pretty good high-level summary.
Yeah.
High level.
Yeah.
Keyword. There's a lot that happens in between that.
Yeah.
But that's high level. Did you want to add anything to that?
No. That's a pretty good like brief
overview
summary of the plot. If there's much of a plot going on, I guess if you can call it a plot.
Yeah.
So I'll just start off with my initial thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So we're kind of like going to go over, our initial thoughts and, how the book made us feel. We'll go into, talking about different plot twists and stuff like that and our ratings and whatever else.
Yeah.
But for me, first dark romance.
Yeah.
Initially, I was just like breath of fresh air knowing that I don't have to have some crazy world building situation. Like you rock up and she's in like New York City or something like that. And like there's, mentions of Kindle or mentions of like phones.
New world, sort of modern day.
Just, just normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not some crazy like, a wolf was at my door kind of vibe for the start of Crescent City. Like when you're just like, okay, who's who in the zoo? I got to figure out what powers people have or what's going on in the world. Any of that.
This is just
super refreshing. Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I was nervous coming into a creepy book because if you've listened to this podcast, you all know how I feel about reading
Thrillers.
Verity and how that went for me.
Yeah.
Which I think I'd be much more prepared to like read a Verity style book now because I feel like that was just fresh to me. And to be honest, Haunting Adeline is pretty up there with how intense the scenes are and stuff like that. So it started off and I definitely got a little bit of the heebie-jeebies because can you believe it or fucking not? I started reading this home alone.
Oh, I think you sent a Snapchat about that. Yeah.
I was literally reading it on this couch.
Yeah.
And it got dark and you can't see the
There's no blinds either.
Yeah, there's no, so the door behind us, there's no blinds and that just goes black and you can't really see anything. And so I'm sitting here and then literally something like dropped outside and I was like, fuck,
my
man.
God.
I'm like, why am I doing this again? Like, why am I here?
Yeah.
This is so silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so originally kind of creepy, but I moved into it. And I actually kind of really liked again, so random of me because it's just not really my vibe usually, but I really liked that there was a consistent creepy vibe going on.
There was, yeah.
She's moved into this like gothic Victorian manor that was her grandmother's and it's like black. I think I really liked it because I love like gothic decor.
Same. And I love Victorian manors. Yeah. My dream home is a Victorian manor from the 1800s.
Yeah.
And we don't really have them here in Australia. There are tons in America. I have been on Victorian Manor TikTok before, and it is literally my dream. I'll show you my fucking dream to one day own a 1800s Victorian manor and completely keep it the same style and everything. I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Obsessed with them.
Yeah.
And the vibe in this one was fantastic.
Yeah. I just felt like there's like just these gorgeous big like staircases and hallways. It's all done in black and gold and like luxury lounges and shit like that. The kitchen that I had in my mind was like just so cool and epic, like a big island bench with like wooden, like black wooden like cupboard kind of vibe. So cool house, and it's not like some creepy old like haunted mansion. No. Like it's like a really like it is creepy.
Yeah.
And there's a fucking forest on the outside of it too. I was
when I picture, I can still vividly remember how I would view the house and the forest around it. And it's epic. It's so cool.
Yeah. And there's like a cliff as well, like nearby. So cool, creepy vibes that I enjoyed. Like off the bat was definitely initial thoughts for me.
Yeah, and I think the creepiness is consistent, not just obviously when Zaid comes into the picture, but like with the house itself, with her mother, the secret. Like I feel like the every plot or like theme that came into the book, whether it was like secrets with the grandmother, Zaid, the house, whatever it was, all of it was consistently creepy. So it all tied in together, which was cool to see because sometimes it falls flat in some element. But yeah.
And her mum was in it quite early.
Yeah.
Mentioned quite early, and she had a conversation with her mum over the phone. And I actually really not liked the relationship between her and her mum, but I think it was quite relatable. I think there are a lot of like parents out there or people's relationships with parents where their parents are all like not snobby but kind of look down on what they're doing and a little bit like judgmental and walk in like I know parents parents definitely. That are like that. I've known people like that, like just kind of like that energy. So I was like, oh, it's like a relatable, like there's this, you know, kind of shit mum-daughter relationship going on, but it's just so real. Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of themes in this book though, again, because it's present time or more modern time than fantasy. There's a lot of things that I feel like were quite relatable in this book, but one of them, was the mother-daughter relo.
Yeah. Also, initial thought was that I love Daya.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so Daya and Adeline, like their friendship. Yes. I was like,
girls, we love it.
Yeah. Such a vibe.
Yeah. When I was doing a bit of research yesterday and on Wednesday, obviously just in preparation of this, I was rereading some of the chapters, just like skimming over them. And we'll get to it, but it's once like she finds out that she has a stalker and Daya. How do you say her name? Daya?
I feel like I would like to say it Daya, but that's just because it's easier on my mouth.
Daya, I don't know.
Daya,
whatever her name is. She they found out she found out that Adeline had the stalker, and then so they were talking about tracking the phones and the cameras and everything like that, and they're having like a little girl gossip session. Can't remember where it is, and they're talking about I can't remember what exactly it is, but there's a scene where they're talking because did she work in tech as well?
Yeah, she works for Zaid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you end up finding that out, but you didn't know that at the beginning, obviously.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
Well, we're already deep in it now.
Yeah, too late, guys. But yeah, they're kind of like having this girl session talking about putting, him hacking into the cameras or her phone, and they're talking about her sending nudes. There's this scene where they talk about Adeline sending nudes and stuff. And I remember rereading it and I remember being like, oh, I just loved their friendship so much because it was really like just girly vibes.
And they're just like both like sexy as fuck. Like they're both like, I just imagine them being like both model energy. Yeah. But they're like just vibing. They're always fucking drinking and taking shots. Oh my God,
yes.
I think there's that part of this book I I liked that was just this carefree, I'm just drinking with my friend energy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like in the real world, it's always like, oh, I shouldn't drink too much and do this much. And they're like, these bitches just
They
fucking
don't
taking
care.
shots daily to like get through their like crazy ass shit that they're going through.
Yeah.
But their friendship was just bestie vibes.
It was really cute.
And it was really nice to have that there. I
agree.
feel. And cool that like Day is like this like underground tech girl that ends up working for Zayd.
Yeah.
So I guess that adds to the story, trying to humanize him a little bit.
I did write, we'll talk about that. I did write that down as well as like a thing to like a key note to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved their relationship. That was really positive.
Yeah, I felt as though their relationship was not a comedic relief, but like a relief in itself.
Oh, a bit lighthearted as well.
Yeah, it's probably the only lighthearted
thing
part
in it
of the book, really.
Yeah, I want to just add as well that this is the first dark romance book that I also read. Sorry, the fire is going crazy behind Sally right now.
Whoa.
And
it's because I put a new one on and it's already hot in there.
It's just, it's going crazy.
Burst into flames.
Yeah.
It's making you nervous.
Sorry, yeah, I'm a bit nervous at the moment. Yeah, this is the first dark romance book that I also read after fantasy in 2023. And then, this was the first dark romance one that I read. And I remember as well being like, don't know what to expect. People were saying that it was dark, like, you know, all these sorts of things. And I was obsessed from the get-go with the stalker vibe.
Yeah.
Like I love the energy of that in the book. And I love a good stalker dark romance.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. It was weird to me to be all right with it because I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to go with this book.
I was really nervous for you.
I'm so confused by it. Like just, and you know what's funny is I read a review from, not a review, but a note from the author and she was saying to believe that I, H.T. Carlton.
Yeah.
And she wrote like to think that I was never going to publish this book. I was never even going to write this book. She's like, it lived like Zayd lived in my mind for, Zayd and Adeline lived in my mind for years. And she's like, but I thought there's no way I can write a book about a woman living, like falling in love with her stalker. Like that's just not going to be she's like, that's just not going to be something that people would read. And she's like, but then my friend told me, you know, my friend encouraged me. And she's like, even when I wrote it, I wasn't going to publish it. And now it's like, you know, she's like, little did I know I was going to create a character that like took the world by storm.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the stalker vibe.
So random. That I liked it, but I was a lot of the times I was imagining like because I've got a little balcony outside my bedroom, and especially with the grandma's story or great grand Gigi, she like was talking about how when she first started to get her stalker and how he just appeared at her window. And she was like, oh, the man at my window. I'm like, if a man was outside of that window right now, I would be fucking terrified.
Yeah.
I would literally not be okay with it.
Yeah.
There would not be one part of me that would be turned on. Maybe now.
Yeah, maybe now.
But no, probably not, actually.
But again, I said this in one of our last episodes, is he hot?
Yeah.
Because that, I don't care what anyone says, that is one of the determining factors for whether seeing a man outside of your window is okay or not.
I don't know if it is. Well, yeah, I guess if he's scary looking.
If he's scary looking and ugly. I'm 000 straight away.
Yeah, but if he's really hot, I'm still probably 000ing, bro. That man's coming to kill me.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I think what you're saying is true, but there is something about like, why is it okay when you read it in a book then?
Yeah.
And like, obviously it's scary and all that sort of stuff, but reading in the book, I'm like, that is hot.
See, people on the Goodreads reviews for this make me feel like I should be more considerate or more like, I don't know, because I'm like, there's so many people that are like, I can't believe that people in this book made stalking okay and rape okay and this okay. I'm like, man, it's a fucking book for one, but also I'm like, I'm not like, it's just different.
No,
like I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, there's a lot of things I don't agree with.
No,
and don't get me wrong, the first, which we'll get into it in a minute, but like the first scene of the biggest scene sort of thing, I was like, this is intense.
Yeah.
And definitely not consensual, non-consensual. It's just non-consensual.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot there, but people get like really riled up and I'm like, I'm just reading a story and it's taking me on a journey.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be wrong. It's supposed to be like a bit fucked up and twisted, you know what I mean? So it's like,
and also writing, I have had the same experience, same with TikTok reviews and stuff. I've seen TikToks of people like being like, you know, I can't believe people read this book. I can't believe that people like it, blah, blah, blah. You know, it tries to normalize things that aren't okay. And I'm just like, writing and reading something does not mean that I'm going to go out and do those things, or that someone is going to go out and do those things, or that I want those things done to me, or whatever. It's fantasy. We're reading, although it might not be, it's fantasy in some way. You know what I mean? Because it's make believe. I'm not going to go out and do these things. Yeah. And these, I know that these things in real life would not be okay. That's why it's a book. That's why I'm reading it. That's why it's fantasy. That's why I'm never going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes you'll land on the wrong side of book talk and I'll be like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Because this is not my community.
Yeah.
Like, I need the people that are encouraging this sort of stuff.
Actually, when we get into our episode on funniest reviews, that's going to plug that, because the review I have is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all my top tier kind of thoughts. Yeah. There was also a supernatural element that I just felt like was a little bit unnecessary. Like seeing she was up in the attic, and she saw what was it called? Oh, she literally saw the ghost of her grandma.
Yeah, what you talking about when she's got the thing in the wall in the attic? No, I'm thinking about a different time.
No, she does stick her hand in the wall a couple times, which is creepy. But like she's up there and she sees like an apparition, or I don't know what the word is, but she literally sees like a ghost.
What's the point in that?
But that was the one and only time.
Yeah,
and it was just a little bit like just unnecessarily supernatural for a bit there, which I just was like, oh, we're gonna get like ghosts and shit in this, but then
it didn't end up happening. Yeah, that's probably a bit.
That's totally fine. Didn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
Let's go into go through the scenes.
Yeah, you go through the scenes. I've got some mentions here, but you go through the scenes and then I'll give my thoughts. Key ones. Do you have any key scenes? Because I've got kind of wrote down like key sort of ones. One of the first ones is obviously the first time they meet, like in person. Obviously, he is stalking her outside the window.
No, when they actually meet.
I'm talking about when they meet in person.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a big moment, or like kind of the first big moment in the book, where she's obviously been tormented and manipulated and all that sort of thing for the last couple of weeks with the roses, with the outside the window, all that sort of stuff. And their meeting has her kind of questioning, like, how should I feel about this? What is going on? It's like a hot stalker, not a hot, like, do you know what I mean? I feel like that's like one of the first pivotal moments in the book.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely a pivotal moment. I reckon the first kind of notable thing for me was when she goes home with the dude from the club.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, at this point, you know, we get into the book, she's an author, he's stalking her or he's fallen in love with her, and then she just starts seeing him randomly outside of his house, and she starts getting random roses and just random creepy shit's going on. She kind of knows she has a stalker.
Yeah.
And then the story of her grandma's going on in the background, and then she goes out to the club with Daya, they're having fun, and she goes home with this dude.
Yeah.
And then she gets a text from him.
That's right.
She gets a text from him in the club, and he's like, that's the first time that he speaks, like texts her or like has any like verbal contact, I guess.
Yeah.
And was just like holding hands or getting touched by other men, little mouse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if he touches you, his hands will end up on your doorstep tomorrow. Yeah. She takes him home. And then she gets fingered, which, by the way, that guy was kind of creepy. Like, not creepy, but like some of the words that they use, both Zaid and I forget his name now, but when he was like, do you sing when you come? Like, do you have a pretty little song for me when you come? And I was like, do you sing for me? I'm like, or sing, I don't know. It was weird. Sing for me, little bird, or something like that. I don't fucking know, but I was like, that's kind of weird.
That's kind of icky.
But she takes him into the sunroom with the glass so Zaid can watch her get fingered.
That's right.
And then he bangs on the door. That's creepy as fuck. Like, all of a sudden there's this big bang on the door.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And he's like,
James.
Did you get scared by James?
Scared by James. God, my heart. I was literally about to say, I feel creepy. And then I looked over at James.
There's a man.
It's right there.
There's a man.
And you're talking about banging on the door.
There's a fucking man in the house.
Oh my God.
That's what these books do to us. It's thriller. It's actually dark romance / psychological thriller. So and here we are talking about it, getting the thrill of
I'm getting the thrill of my life right now.
That's literally so funny.
Sorry, continue. Getting fingered, Zaid sees.
Yeah, and then he bangs on the door and old mate goes to the door, disappears, and she gets his hands in a box. The next day.
Well, I mean, that teaches her a lesson.
That shows that Zaid's not fucking around.
Yeah, that is one of the more notable first sort of scenes where she's also like, oh, what's happening here? Like it's being taken a bit too far.
And then first major scene, which was jaw drop. I was like, this is fucking insane. I actually dropped. Have you seen the TikToks where it's like when I finish my book that my husband absolutely cares nothing about, and then I have to and it's like they close the book and they like run over to the husband. It's like, this story has been told before.
Yes. Is it
We're going to tell it again, but this time different. That was me when I read the gun scene. So he rocks up, which he's outside her window on the thing, and he's just there in person. She's like,
yeah.
And then what does he say? What does he do?
I don't know. I can't remember.
He goes up to it. I think that's when he starts talking and he tells her to run.
Oh, yeah.
He tells her to run.
I love that. Anytime he did that, I was like, oh.
That was your favorite line.
That was my favorite line. Yeah, I love that so much.
Run if I catch you. If somebody.
Okay, when you say it like that, it's crazy. When you say it just normally, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, every time I read like in that book about like the running sort of thing, I love that vibe in a book.
Yeah.
Being chased.
Yeah.
Because when you're being like, even it's a bit of a side thing, but we have stairs, obviously.
Even when Joey chases me, I'm like, oh.
Kind of, but like not in that way. We have stairs, and what we do is like when we're packing up of a night, like cleaning the kitchen, turning the TV off, and sorry, you think I'm going to say something sexual, and I'm not. I'm not.
You're going to talk about
when we're like packing up for the night, and we're about to walk upstairs, and the last person downstairs turns the light off. We will run up the stairs because it's like scary. It's like dark. But if I'm the first person at the stairs and Joey's behind me and he starts running, that automatically, even though I know that that's him there, I get so scared, and vice versa. When someone's running, chasing, and then I get turned on and we fuck.
Shit.
There's no. Oh my God, stop, babe. Stop.
I just tripped.
Just tripped them on all fours with my pants off.
Fuck.
No, do you not get it? Like being chased up the stairs, like being chased is like scary.
Yeah.
But I could understand how it would also be hot.
Yeah, getting chased by your stalker that's literally fucking terrifying, coming to kill you in your own house.
Yeah, okay. Again, when you put it like that, it's just...
She goes and hides in like a cupboard and shit, and she's like in the corner, and then he finds her and like...
I don't know why. That just gets me going.
And then...
Yeah.
He...
Fucks her with a gun.
With a gun.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. The whole time I was reading that, I thought that imagine that went off inside her.
Oh, it made my like... I was doing my Kegels.
Yeah. That made me feel like when that was happening, I was like, oh, what if that just trigger went off and just fucking bullet straight through her?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But look,
it was a very intense scene.
Yeah. I think it's funny because and someone wrote this in the reviews, like this is not consensual. When you were talking about dark romance, you said consensual, non-consensual. Like,
sometimes.
Yes, you're like,
sometimes.
You said like, they say, yeah, we can do this, but then it like when it's happening, it blurs into this like, but no, that was just straight up. Yeah. He stalked her and then came and she's going, no. And he's right and he grabs her and because she's wet.
Yeah.
He's like, and that's it. He says singing too, because he says to his mate, like, oh, you obviously don't know when a woman's body is singing for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, bruh.
That doesn't, again, when I was doing some research on this, that theme of this is not consensual, non-consensual. This is just straight up
consensual. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people talking about how, there were people in a Reddit post being like, no, I think it was consensual. And people saying, no, I think it wasn't. And then someone was going, yeah, it was, because didn't you read about how her body, like she was getting wet and stuff like that. And then there were other people going, are you fucking okay? Are you like, are you a guy or are you like a 4-year-old child? Like it's your body has a reaction that you can't like control sometimes, even with sexual assault and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sometimes
you can't control how your body reacts to certain things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that she said no like 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a very heavy scene. I will say I haven't read a lot of books. Like in a lot of the dark romance that I've read, that's maybe the one, or there's maybe one other book that I've read where it was just straight up not consensual. Yeah. Most of them are consensual.
I was imagining that Haunting Adeline was probably top tier, like a level up of like intensity, right?
I will say there's even more intense than that too, which is crazy.
Well, okay.
But that was for the first one. I remember being like, that scene alone, if we isolate based on scenes, that scene's definitely one of the more intense ones.
Yeah.
The book overall, I've definitely read way darker.
Yeah.
But that scene, if we're isolating just scenes, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Top intense scenes for sure.
Yeah.
Just because of the non-consensual element.
Yeah. Well, the second one after that, the second sex scene was also like the second time that he meets her is also very intense. So what you'd say the next scene that you've got anyway. So that's that first scene is the gun one, which is intense. But
yeah, the gun scene. There was one other scene that I did have written down, which is not sex related, but it's kind of where we get a glimpse into Zaid and his like sex trafficking ring. Because let's not forget that's a massive plot in the book as well.
Yeah.
Is obviously Zaid is a cyber tech hacker guy trying to take down
he runs an underground organization called Z.
Yes.
Taking down sex trafficking and pedophile rings.
Yeah, which is a very big theme in the book. It's also a very big theme in the second book.
Oh, okay.
Very big theme in the second book. Random, but I feel like the writer had to put something in the book to try and like not make him a villain.
Yeah, he needed to be like
a good guy. He's doing these things.
Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah, he's doing these things, but it's okay because he
saves kids and shit.
Yeah.
But also so weird that that's his job and he cares so much about these poor women that are like terrified and kids that are terrified, but then he literally goes and like stalks and rapes them.
I literally wrote, it creates a lot of moral ambiguity with us as a reader, because he saves these women from literal cages sometimes. But then you go home and he is putting Adeline in like a physical, a mental cage in terms of like what he's doing to her, the torment and everything.
Which I kind of actually see it like where you would have to be like, maybe he just is a little bit fucked up from it all. And like
definitely
a person like that would probably have to have a weird like career. But in the same sense, maybe the step a little bit too far with the first couple of scenes of basically getting raped. Because I'm like, well, that's just completely against everything that he sees. I'm like, maybe the stalking and getting obsessive and then like playing with a woman a little bit and then like maybe finding a way to get consensual. But But that there is scenes where he basically goes and there is child and sex trafficking and rescue.
Yeah, he rescues them. But that's the whole thing, right? That adds another element of like the intensity of the book, because that in itself, sex trafficking and all that sort of stuff with children, and like that is a very intense. I feel like the whole book, there's just very strong themes in there. Yeah, which is why there's a lot of controversy around it as well.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, that's kind of another big theme that goes throughout the book. And then I think I'm moving too fast, but the next one that I had was the House of Mirrors, but that's more towards.
Bruh, you skipped the whole book.
Yeah, I know. I've written down just main. I've got 4 that I wrote down.
You know what? I think I go a little like even a bit fucking. I just think things are so relevant because even when Ash and I were doing the Court of Thorns and Roses, Court of Mist and Fury, I think she had like 1 at the start and then like kind of straight to chapter 45, and I had like 10 scenes I wanted to talk about. I'm like, but there was a second scene which she was still pretty non-consensual, where he was like outside her window and then they were texting and she pretty much kind of like egged him on to come inside. But then he like grabbed, like he forced her to suck his dick.
Oh, I do remember that. She said she was going to call no, that was a different one. What about when she called the police and the police officer rocked up?
Oh yeah, there was that
But
scene.
nothing happened. Nothing eventuated from that
she
one.
ended up,
Okay.
he ended up telling her, like, saying, don't fucking say anything
This is
or
another
whatever.
one though where she egged him on to come inside. He did, and then he came inside.
Yeah, but there's literally one where oh no, sorry. There's the third, like one of the scenes he does make her forcibly suck his dick really intensely. But there's the second one, I think they're texting a little bit and she kind of calls him bluff. And then she wakes up and she's literally tied to the headboard of the bed. And he's like,
I remember that.
and she's like still saying no and still freaking out and whatever else. And
I
he
remember
just
that.
like
Yeah.
eats her out, I think.
Yes.
And she ends up loving it and says, you know, to die that it was like the fucking craziest thing of her dreams or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the start, she's literally just
Not
woken up from
consensual. Yeah.
sleeping and she's tied up and he's just like, fuck this, I'm just going for it kind of thing. And then I think he like jacks himself off and just like whatever from there. Like, I don't know. Crazy.
See, I try to think about, she must have been a deep sleeper to like not wake up with that.
and be tied up.
And
yeah.
like, that's crazy. But then I do think about, again, if these things happen to me in real life, I would have an issue with that. I would have a major issue with being woken up from my slumber, being tied to a bedpost.
Yeah.
I would be like, Joey, fuck off. Like, literally go. Can you imagine you're sleeping and then you start waking up from the rumblings of like James tying your hands together? It's like I'm sorry, but like scene, you got to set the scene and it's not when I'm dead to the world asleep. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, I do remember that one. I do remember the waking up and being tied to the bed. I don't
Yeah.
remember the forcibly sucking his dick. Again, not into that either.
Yeah.
Not into being forced to suck a dick.
That was before they go to, so they have to go to the,
What about the one where he ties her head to the...
to the what?
Isn't there one where he or am I thinking of a different book where he uses his belt to tie her head to the tree to suck his dick?
Oh, no, that's a different book. Yeah, that's a different book.
That might be book 2.
Maybe, yeah.
Actually, I think that's book 2.
Oh, way to spoil.
Sorry.
Nah, that's totally fine.
I think it's book 2. Or maybe it's a different one.
Yeah.
But that one was pretty gnarly as well.
Yeah, no, so they, all this while, all of this is happening, Zaid is trying to get some sort of like, he's a politician that's in the sex slave thing or whatever, performing rituals on people. So Zaid's trying to like go undercover and basically join their crew so he can like kill everyone in there. And then Adeline's targeted. But anyways, Adeline and Zaid have to go to the party of the politician guy who's in some big mansion or whatever, and he's holding like a ball, and they have to go there just as like friends or whatever. And then when they go, Zaid and Adeline together, I don't know if you remember the movie theater scene.
No, I don't remember the movie.
Oh, well, there's a movie theater in the mansion. And so Zaid's like, let's fucking get out of this party for a minute, and takes her down the hallway and they like run through the mansion.
And she sits on his lap?
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
I
he
do
puts on a
remember.
horror movie that
Yes,
hasn't come out in the
yes,
cinemas yet.
yes,
So
I
this
do
is
remember
that
that.
like continual horror theme that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Like
And
because
yeah.
there's the haunted festival, there's a horror movie that they
Yeah.
watch together. The house is all creepy. Like the whole thing has this like creepy
Vibe to it.
like a very consistent creepy tone, which is cool because it's consistent.
Consistent, yeah.
And yeah, they go into the cinema and the theater, and he sits her on the lap, and then he fingers her or whatever.
Yes.
And by the way, why is Adeline always dripping
Oi.
fucking wet?
Oi, one of the things that I wrote down was quote unquote panties becoming more drenched. If I read this one more time,
Bro,
I'm gonna like die.
it was messy.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, the combination of Zaid and I dripping down my leg.
Yuck.
And what she say when she walked out of the theater, it was like my thighs slick with both of our juices. I'm like, ew.
Ew, I can rest assured any men listening to this, no, they would be, but that does not happen. Like that is not an experience that happens in real life.
And it was like a mess on the seat and like all this crazy
it doesn't
shit.
happen. It doesn't happen that way. That's crazy.
It was very consistent too.
Yeah.
Like that girl was,
she was wet.
she was pissing herself like consistently. It was just like, this is.
Yeah, that's not normal. I agree. Yeah, I did literally write that. I wrote, I will kill myself. I hate reading this.
Yeah.
Like it was so annoying. Even just in my rereads that I was doing of the couple of chapters yesterday and on Wednesday, I was like, oh, if I read this one more time.
Sometimes some of the stuff Zaid said was so intense too. I remember one of the like main comments that are on Goodreads or main reviews is like the thing in quotation marks is like, you're so fucking creamy. And then it was like, really?
Oh my God, yeah. Hold on. I think one of their reviews, sidetrack, but yeah, I seen that yesterday when I was doing like a reread and stuff. Yeah. Someone quoted, "You're so fucking creamy, he rasps."
Yeah.
Well, that was absolutely terrible.
That's the review. Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yes.
Craziness.
Cinema scene.
So yeah, I loved that cinema scene because it was like they're hiding from the party. They don't fucking care. I love I love a moment. I hate the public vibes sometimes. In so many books, there's like this weird thing where people like are like in front of people doing crazy shit. And I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like I can't get myself into it because I'm just imagining everyone around it. Happens a lot in fantasy.
Yeah, definitely.
But when it's like kind of like public place but like separate kind of vibe,
private moment,
that's pretty kinky.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the horror movie playing, he kept telling her like, so he was like fingering her or whatever, and then he's like, you have to watch the movie. And the second that she would like turn her head, he's like, you're not watching the movie, and like getting real mad at her. So yeah, I love that scene.
I agree.
And then I think the next most notable scene would be the haunted fair.
Yeah, isn't that where the House of Mirrors is?
Yes.
Yeah. I wrote down House of Mirrors, and I did a brief reread of that chapter yesterday, and I think the House of Mirrors scene, I forget kind of what happens in the whole lead up to that, but I read the chapter about the House of Mirrors, and obviously again it creates that sort of scary element because at first he starts talking and she doesn't know like where it's coming from because like you can obviously with the mirrors reflecting off everything, and I thought, again reading it I kind of felt like, oh my God, I'm like nervous, like why I feel anxious because like where is he? Do you know what I mean? So that created a lot of like, again, keeping that creepy sort of vibe going on.
That's when he says, if I catch you, I fuck you.
Yes, I read that
and she has to run through all the mirrors.
Yes. And again, I was like, when I read it at the time, I was like, I could get down with that. But that one was pretty crazy too.
Yeah. One scene that I didn't really enjoy. So obviously, even in us talking all through this book is so heavy on the smut. Like it is just, I actually got over it. Yeah. I actually wanted more plot. Like I wanted more depth of like, Adeline's a bit fucking top level base. Like she even says in the book, she's like, oh, because I'm dumb, or like because I'm because I'm this, because I'm that. Like there also just wasn't much depth written to her character at all. I think even from the writer's perspective. It was like I just we didn't really get much of them, and not even much depth into Zaid. Like his whole thing was like, oh, you're waiting for a reason for me to like tell you why I do this job. Like there was some sort of trauma in my past of my mom or my sister getting, sex trafficked, but nope, I just want to kill bad people. Yeah. Like there's
missed opportunity there.
Yeah, like there's just a bit of lack in plot. Like I wanted more plot. Like I found myself getting like, really hyped by the crazy ass sex scenes and the smart, and then going in and being like, okay, like moving into a bit more plot, and then all of a sudden it's another crazy ass sex scene. Just took away from it a little bit. Like it's like, oh, like I just want a little bit more depth. There's things going on in the background, like the whole story of her great grandmother's murder thing.
So random.
And it's just a bit random. Yeah. Like I guess it's what she's adding another dimension to the story.
But it was really random.
Not necessary.
Agreed.
And the falling in love with the stalker is a really, really random thing. So to have it happen twice in the family is a bit fucking weird.
Agreed, yeah.
Which, they mention that. It's like, oh, I can't believe that this is happening. Like history is repeating itself. I'm like,
it doesn't have to though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That whole thing in itself was just a bit random.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, this is just added in there for the sake of being added in there.
Yeah. Could have been more dimension or plot in somewhere else, maybe. Yeah. Like, I don't fucking know.
I agree.
But yeah, so less like probably a little bit less smart. Like would have been nice. A little bit more plot depth would have been good. So yeah, a couple of things I noted that I didn't necessarily connect with as much. Definitely the story with the grandma. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is kind of thing. But at the fair, at the haunted fair, there was like this crazy like girl who was like a wrecked doll or whatever, and she was like there before they went into the haunted house.
Sibby?
And she was, I think so.
Yeah, she. There's another book about Sibby's story.
Oh, okay.
You can read. It's like a novella.
Yeah, because she's like crazy, and then she ends up trying to kill Zaid because she thinks he's one of the bad guys, but she kills.
Yes.
She brutally like tortures the other three, and she's all fucked up. So I'm like,
there's a side book about her you can read. Like I think, I'm pretty sure it's a novella.
Is it good?
I haven't read it.
Oh.
But I've read a lot of reviews from people that have read it, and it's fucked up because she's like weird. So it's like kind of more weird. I just didn't find the time to read it.
Yeah. She's crazy as shit. So yeah, that's pretty much the only things that like I would say like about it that I didn't love necessarily. And like, yeah. A few things where I'm like, this is fucking like some of the shit Zayd says when they're fucking. I'm like, this is insane. But it also kind of just added to not audacity of it, but like the fucking intensity of it all. You know what I mean? Like it's all crazy, silly. She gets fucked by a gun for God's sake. So I mean, if he's gonna say weird shit, it just makes sense.
That's not even like, I think with dark romance as well. Like, be prepared. I've read a lot of books that have no plot. That have no plot whatsoever. Sometimes you get a good one and you find like a good dark romance. Like there was a series that I read not too long ago that was dark romance, but I was in my review, I wrote like, I'm actually here for the plot. I'll have to try find it, but it was like, I loved the plot, and it's very hard sometimes to find like a dark romance that's got a good. Actually, I've got a couple of, there's another one that I'm thinking about. It's a mafia romance that I rated very highly as well, which is like a 4-book series. And there was a really good plot to that too. So actually, I might recommend that to you. But it's hard. It's hard. Sometimes you'll find ones that have good plot, and sometimes you'll have ones that have no plot. And you're like, ugh, this is literally just porn.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I need a bit more plot sometimes.
Yeah, so just a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what? Like this book kind of like, I don't know, there's some books where you're like, this book's fucking like probably rotting my brain a little bit in the smart levels. Most of them do, but I'm like, you know what? I live my life.
Same.
If anyone's just like, you know, following a couple people just in my normal life at the moment, they're like, you know, finally swapping smut for like something else. I'm like, yes, I maybe should read a normal fucking book, but I'm like, I live my life trying to do so much. I'm keeping healthy.
Yeah.
I'm doing like.
Why do we put restrictions on everything?
I'm running businesses. I'm doing my fucking house cleaning. I'm doing my chores.
If you
I'm
want to
washing my hair.
one little thing.
Let me read dirty
guns
in the ground smut.
Guns,
smother me in it.
Yeah, I don't care. No one will ever take my books away from me. They won't. They literally won't. Bury me with my
Put me in the fucking ground.
Put me in the ground with my Kindle because
smut.
Literally just books of porn, and you're never taking that away from me. I'm not going to swap to self-help. I'm not going to swap to philosophical books because life is already so fucking rigid and serious.
Yeah.
And the only time that I get to not be so serious in my life is when I'm reading my fucking fairy porn and my morally grey porn, and that is what I'm going to keep. Okay, so no one's ever. I'm not going to read. I'm not going to swap. I'm not going to change. That's it. Sorry.
Tori's taken a stance.
I've taken a stance.
Don't even talk about it. She says.
Don't conform to. Don't change or try
I think this is just on the back end of my dinner fucking the other night where I was yeah.
She was like,
I told a friend of mine that I read smut. She's like, oh no, we got to change that. And I'm like,
no.
Do we though?
No, we don't.
Do we though?
No.
By the way, sorry, we should get back onto the story, which we will in a second.
Yeah.
Reading Manacled.
Oh, you're reading it at the moment.
It is more dark romance than it is Harry Potter fantasy.
Really?
It's dark as fuck, man. I'm waiting for there to be light because so far I'm like 25% in, and it is on the ground.
Wow.
Dark.
It is. Yeah. That is still on my list, but they removed it, didn't they?
Yeah, but I've got it.
Oh, you've got the copy of it.
Yeah, you can still get like PDFs on the dark web. No, like just online. Like around, yeah.
Dark web. Scary.
I think the ones I was finding on Etsy were like, you know, really like hardcover copies that people have printed and binded and stuff. Because I don't think it was ever published as a hard copy.
No, I don't think it was.
So I think the Etsy ones, people have literally printed, binded, covered, book bound, you know what I mean? So that's why they're like $300. But you can get the PDF, put it on your Kindle, which is what I've done.
Oh, so okay, cool.
I am hooked.
Okay.
It is dragging a little bit, but in a dark, very dark way that I'm super hooked. Anyway, we're not talking about Manacled.
Not talking about Manacled. Okay.
We're talking about Haunting Adeline. So pretty much I feel like that's a wrap with the scenes maybe. What else do you think? Like,
no, I think the scenes, I think we wrapped on the scenes. I think I'd be keen to hear, are you reading more dark fantasy after this? What's your vibe?
I haven't, like, I actually felt this when I finished Haunting Adeline.
Oh, are you going to read number 2?
Yeah, I didn't feel a need to immediately grab number 2.
You don't have to. I will just say, like, you don't. how did book one end again?
Book one ends, which totally saw this coming because Adeline's been like targeted or whatever.
Yeah.
She gets a text saying like from Daya saying like come over or whatever. So she gets in the car and then she gets followed and she gets ran off the road and she gets taken, which ended up being one of the dudes that was at the club.
Yeah.
And they grab her and whatever. So obviously hunting Adeline is Zaid has to, and the last thing it says, he comes for me. So like Zaid has to go and get her, obviously.
I will say book 2 is a lot darker in the sense of like more in like the trafficking and the...
See, I'm not really like... I don't really need that in my life.
Yeah, I even read that and was a bit like, there's like blood play and like stuff like that.
I don't even know what that means.
Like blood play where people get off on like making you bleed.
Oh.
Yeah. With like Adeline and like strangers and stuff. And she's like kept captive.
So yeah, I can imagine that. I even said to James, I was like, this book was super dark and now Adeline's been taken by them and I think she's going to have to go through a lot of fucking shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't know if I fully need that.
Book 2 I didn't rate it the same as book 1. Like I read it because I just read it, but I would definitely say you don't need to read it. And I don't think you're missing anything if you don't read it.
Okay, I might just leave it then because I honestly just felt satisfied
that's
with
fine
Haunting Adeline. And it wasn't like I don't want to read the second book. I just immediately felt like I'm just satisfied with what that is.
Yeah.
And so if it's kind of like whatever, the second one, I think I'd rather start a different story.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's
romance.
good. Yeah, I think that's good for you. I'd be keen to give you some more recommendations when we finish because I have got some really good lighter ones, not ones that are about, I mean, the porn is still porning.
Yeah.
But it's not like child trafficking and like
that side of the story, I was like, nah, I don't really need to know, like live in that side of life.
No, I've got some other ones for you that I think you'd really like.
If it's mafia romance or like, underground where it's like drugs and it's all adults and stuff,
it
awesome.
is.
But the sex trafficking and child abuse, I'm like, it's a little bit too...
It's real.
I know, that's what I was going to say. It's a little bit too real, which is mafia stuff, but it's also not really as like...
It's not as
terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you got to be in the fucking dark mafia world for that to happen. But like sex trafficking and child trafficking.
I'll give you some other ones that are dark romance, but not like scary.
Yeah.
Scary. Yeah. So what would you rate it?
I rated it 4 out of 5.
I think, what did I rate it?
You rated it 4 out of 5.
I did. Yeah. Because that was first dark romance. Really liked it. Good intro book. I felt things.
Yeah.
Felt things. We thought it was great.
Yeah. I kept coming back to it. I didn't want to put it down. I was very invested in like just the jaw drop smart. Let's be honest. Like that's really what had it.
Heck yeah.
Plot was lacking. And a couple random things that I was like, that doesn't really need to be there. So I guess that's the loss of the last star.
Yeah.
Was just that, plot could have plotted a little bit more.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I was like,
here for it.
Yeah. Totally here for it.
I agree. Cool. Well, I think that's a bit of a summary on the book. What do you reckon?
I think so. Yeah. Let's do our line of the week. I will start.
Yes. Yep. Give us yours. Wait, what'd you say?
It's the line that I have.
Oh my God. Yeah. Guys, when Sal was picking this is the sort of stuff that we say and it's like giving ick when you read it out loud, like when you say it.
Yeah.
But when you read it, you think this is really hot.
So this is from Zaid, obviously. He says, Zaid, he whispers against my lips. Why am I going to get close to the mic for it? I'm going to get real personal. Zaid, he whispers against my lips. That's the only name that will ever leave your lips from now on, especially when you're making that little pussy feel good. And when I'm making that pussy feel good, then you can call me God.
Oh my God. I don't know why, but when you read it out loud, it makes me feel ill. Yeah. It makes me cringe so bad. So bad when you read it out loud. But when I'm reading it in the paper, I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, I love this.
Before you say your line, I actually also just want to say this, I don't know if it's the more that I read, the more I'm a little bit disappointed with the AI side of things because I loved it at the start.
Yeah.
But Zaid in my mind was so much more rough, a little bit older and like a little bit more scary looking, but still like with an energy around him.
Yeah.
Like I just had this kind of like a little bit like of a raggedy, not ragged, that's not the right word, but just a scary man.
I get what you mean.
But still with like a intense energy.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I finished the book and I was like, oh, I'll look at some AI. And I'm like,
doesn't look anything.
Literally the exact fucking same as fucking Zayden and
they all look the same.
Rysand.
They all look the same.
You've got this cut jaw, black hair, and he's got this discolored eye with like a scar, and the scar's just this little. And I'm like, nah, like he was way scarier to me
in the book
with like a dense, like handsome, scary energy. But he was even older, like in my mind. Like I don't know how old he is in the book. I think he was like 30 or something. But like I don't know, just different.
I get what you mean. I think the AI art fucks things a little bit sometimes because you create a vision in your head and then now all you can see is what people have put like in the AI art.
Yeah.
And doesn't align with anything that you've...
Samey.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, my line of the week is also from Zaid. And it says, if my redemption resides somewhere within you, then I will spend the rest of my life searching for it inside you. Is that supposed to be serious? Is it supposed to be smutty?
It starts off like, ooh. Yeah. Like maybe
we're getting some vulnerability here. And then he's like, it's going to be inside your pussy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you started off with the vulnerability and then you're like, okay, he's just trying to fuck again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Zaid. Love Zaid so much.
All right, well, that's a wrap. I'm not going to read Haunting Adeline, maybe one day, but I'm pretty happy with Haunting now, and I will move on with dark romance with your recommendations, which Manacled is a very, it's what I'm reading at the moment, and it's very combo of dark romance / fanfic fantasy. So
that's good to know. I'll keep it on my list.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'll read it next, but I'll keep it on my list for the future.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.